Hello everybody, and welcome to Thrive. This is a game I made a few videos about a couple of months ago, and it's just had a new update. It's Thrive 0.5.9, and I have actually been quite involved with this update. I've been working on a lot of the features that we'll see as we go on. So I thought I might as well make a quick video playing some of this to act as, well, yeah, propaganda is what it is basically. It's Go watch my other Thrive video if you're unfamiliar with everything else. But today I'm just going to be playing a game of Thrive, showing off the new features, hopefully entice you to look further into it. So before I actually begin a game, one thing I am going to show off, if we go into the options screen, is this. This is quite an important new thing. It limits the number of entities in the game, which does have it has a sizable impact on performance. I will say there's still quite a few performance issues, and I'm going to make it one of my priorities to look at them for the next release. But this can help quite a bit if you're running on lower end machinery. So to make sure I don't, show off really laggy gameplay in this video, I'm going to turn this down. Yeah, let's go very small. That should be all right. Okay, let's actually get started. And one new thing we will notice immediately, instead of pressing a new game and going into a new game, we go into this screen, which is where we can choose what the world is going to be like that we're playing in. So this is new in this release, and this is something that I was quite vocal about adding and something I wanted to add. And I think it does make a lot of difference because it means you can customize the experience to what you actually want. To start off, we have difficulty presets. These are roughly balanced. We still don't really have enough feedback to say whether they're actually at the level they need to be. But you can switch to one of those, and we'll look at the custom view in a moment. Lork, or Life as We Know It. We've had constant questions over whether there should be an I at the end of this, but it's tradition to call it Lork at this point in the dev team, so that's what it is. There are certain parts in the game which we'll see that are new, that are speculative. They're not actually found in the real world. They're only found in scientists' minds. So if you don't want to use those, if you want to be really realistic with the game, you can turn this on. I'm not going to do that, so I can actually show off those new parts as well. Next, we have the starting location. Now, before, every game you played started in the vents. That was just how it worked. Now you can choose from a few options. It's not everything, because this is supposed to be like a realistic beginning of life, and we have a few possible theories for that. We may change or add to this list in future, depending on what else we want. But hydrothermal vents, so one of them, I nearly said hydrothermical vents. Damn it, Narratizer. We've got a warm little pond, which is, of course, Darwin's famous quip, I guess, about how life might have started, and panspermia, which is an asteroid just landed on the planet. And that will place you somewhere random because, the asteroid could have been anywhere. Next, we have the seed, which is just a number. You can randomize it, or if you can share it with other people if you find something that's cool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look in the custom view for the difficulty, and immediately there's lots more stuff. So all of these things do affect things in game, and they change if you select a different preset. I'm going to keep most of these at normal. I am going to pump up the AI mutation rate, because I find that creates like a much more fun game because you have much stronger creatures to fight against. I might up the compound cloud density just because I don't want to spend too long grinding in this video. Everything else I think I will keep as is. So that's difficulty. We also have more detailed planet settings. We've been through these three. You can also switch between procedural and classic map. Procedural map is one of the new features of this release, which I will demonstrate when we get to it. So yes, I'll select the procedural map here. And then miscellaneous, we've got multicellular prototypes, which were in, part of them were in the previous release. but they have been expanded for this release. They're still relatively unstable. Like they're not generally going to crash anything, but they have more performance issues, more bugs. So if you'd rather have just a stable game, I guess you can get rid of them. But I'll keep them in for now. And Easter eggs. There's only one Easter egg currently, but we might see it, and you'll recognise it when you see it. So with that, we've now spent ages working out how to start the game instead of just pressing a button before, but it will be worth it because it adds a lot of replayability, I think. So what did I actually choose? What am I going to choose here? I'm going to go panspermia. Let's be random. And let's go. And we end up in the mesopelagic, which is one of the layers of the sea, I believe. Okay, gameplay is as it was before. You swim around, you collect compounds, so there's a small patch of phosphate that we just went through. And here's some glucose. We need that to not die, so I'll collect some of that. We can go get some ammonia. We need ammonia to build the next generation. And we also need phosphates. You'll see it in this display down here. These bars fill up as we gather the compounds. So there's more down here. And now we're ready to reproduce. But I am going to collect some more glucose. So there's some over here. Oh, there's a floating organelle here. Why are there organelles? I am the first life form on this planet. That makes no sense. But yeah, our compound storage is now all full. So I can progress to the editor and show you another of the new features. So when we switch to the patch map, this immediately looks very different. So what we have here, this is a randomly generated patch map based on the seed that I entered, I guess randomly picked during the settings. It's got continents. Each of these blocks is like a continent or an ocean, and it's got patches within them. So this will change every game with the different seeds, which should make things, again, a lot more replayable. So I am currently in this one, the flashing green one. I would like to make my way to the hydrothermal vents so I can show off some of the other features that we've got. So how do I do that? Let's move there and there. No, I need to move up to the ice shelf, then cross to the next ice shelf, then go down there and then to the hydrothermal vents. You'll see I was looking at the highlighted ones to see what connections were possible. So this is connected to the ice shelf connected to the other ice shelf, and that. So I'm going to try and make my way there, which means I will move to the ice shelf. And the editor is this, well, yeah, it's basically the same as it was, with the exception of some new organelles that we have. So we've got thermosynthase, which currently wouldn't do anything. So one of the new features, and in fact it's a non-Lork feature, so if you had turned on the Lork toggle, you wouldn't be seeing these in the game, but it's thermosynthesis, which is a speculative method whereby cells, or any life form really, can generate energy just by sitting in a heat gradient. Unfortunately, in the current patch, we're in the ice shelf. The temperature is -1 degrees C, which is like nothing, so we have no temperature gradients. So this is useless right here. But I'm going to try and make my way to the vents so I can actually show off the thermosynthesis stuff. We've also got cilia. I can't place them yet because they require a nucleus, but they increase the turning rate of cells, which means that if you want to be like a maneuverable predator, you will need to have a couple of cilia at your disposal. There's also another couple of new organelles. So the thermoplast is actually in the game now. This icon has been here for ages, but you can actually select it once you've got a nucleus. And that will do the same thing as the thermosynthase, but just more, because it's a more developed organelle. And lysosomes, which are part of the big engulfment revamp. So I'll show that off at some point. So these will increase how quickly and how efficiently you digest stuff, and they could also let you digest other stuff, because there's some things that are now immune to engulfment until you evolve these. So yeah, we'll get to those in due course. For the moment, what am I going to do? I'm just going to do my standard starting build, which is a Metabolosome plus a Flagellum. So I've got the energy and I've got the speed, and I will randomize the name. Texufin Plikugan. Cool, that's what I am now. What colour? I'm going to be like a pink, I think. I always find that stands out. I don't have any more mutation points to do anything else. I can affect the behaviour. I don't really know what this cell is going to become yet, so I'll just put them all right in the middle. And yeah, let's move off. So I've moved into the ice shelf, so it's going to be cold, there's going to be ice shards, and hopefully some other cells to interact with. Get some more ammonia. You'll see these clouds, they're filling up my tank like immediately because I had set the compound density so high. But that, you know, if you want just a game where you're not really grinding as much, that can be very helpful, really. So yeah, I can evolve again, and I will. So we're in here. I can move over to the parallel ice shelf on the next ocean across. I think I'll wait here, actually, see if I can find some other cells, wait for the other cells as well to kind of radiate outwards into the world. Do I want to make any changes? Yeah, I'll add another couple of metabolosomes. Can't hurt. Oosh. Collect some of this glucose. It's going to be helpful. Some more ammonia. And some more phosphates. So right now it doesn't take a lot of either of those to grow because I am quite a small cell. Oh look, hey, we've got a first other species. This is something I was very vocal about adding, and did add myself. There's now a hotkey to pause, which is defaults to space. So that's very helpful. What have you got over here? You've got some thylakoids, some chemosynthesizing proteins, some metabolosomes, and you're purple. Ooh. Are you going to chase me? I think... Are those... Oh, they're not metabolosomes, they are rusocyanine. So yeah, he eats iron. You keep doing that. I'm going to evolve. And I'm going to move over here to the next ice patch. So my aim is to get a nucleus so I can show off more of the other things. But let's see. Right now, that's going to take my ATP consumption way too high, so I need to be producing more energy before I can do that. And that's where metabolosomes come in. So let's add a couple of those. So in these membranes, I can't actually select any of them anymore because I've used too many mutation points. But you'll notice some of them now say invulnerable to engulfment. This is true unless the cell attempting to engulf you has lysosomes with specific enzymes evolved. So there's chitin and cellulose. To digest cellulose, you need cellulase, I think, and chitin is chitinase. So hopefully we'll get to both of those later, once I become a bigger cell. What am I getting? I have moved, yes. We're now on the next ocean over. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Some ammonia, that will be helpful. Some more phosphates, also helpful, and there we go again. these over here. I need more glucose. Quickly. Oh. Right, move on to the next patch. Back into the deeper ocean. Can I fit a nucleus yet? I can, excellent. So now you'll see, right, adding the nucleus unlocks a load of new organelles, which we'll have fun using in future generations. So I'm going to push up my aggression because I've now become bigger. I can therefore engulf more stuff. So I want other cells of my species to be more aggressive because to take advantage of that. They can be more active, more brave, maybe more opportunistic. Out of my way. No. Right, and so this glucose blob that appeared here is part of the new game settings. So I found, watching other people play the game and playing the game myself, it was often very difficult immediately after you switch to a new patch because the way the spawn system works, it only kind of spawns things away from you in a big circle around you, so you kind of have to go from the center of that circle out to its edges in order to actually find anything. So there's now a setting in the difficulty options at the start you would have seen to add a glucose cloud when you exit the editor, which just gives you an extra boost of energy to reach the outer reaches of the circle, which is very helpful. Now, what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to see whether I'm big enough to engulf these. I don't think they have a special membrane that prevents me from eating them, so let's see. I will turn on in engulf mode. Aha! I can eat them. So you see there was a little animation of me pulling them in. That was very cool. And I've now got this new compound here called ingested matter. So this is limited by the size of your cell. So this cell that we just ingested is now taking up 10, roughly, of my storage for that. So I could not currently try and engulf another one of these. I just don't have the space. But what my cell will do is it will slowly break down its ingested matter into the compounds it contains. So you'll see glucose is climbing, ammonia and phosphate are climbing. And that's the start of the engulfment revamp, right? Yeah, it's just a very quick demonstration of how that works. We'll see more features of it later. This cell appears to be doing an orbit. You can do it. No? Okay, it's not. It doesn't want to do it. Because I'm here. I'm going to eat you. I ate him. And now I have enough resources to evolve. Right, into the editor. I'm going to finally move to the vents to see what I can do here. So now, if I hover over the thermosynthase, you'll see it's actually producing a lot more ATP because the temperature is 98 degrees. So this is perhaps a bit overpowered, only in the vents, of course. Everywhere else is basically useless because it uses up more energy than it produces. But in the vents, you can just stick a load of these on and you don't even have to forage for compounds anymore. So the idea is that at some point, probably next release, we're going to have a look at revamping that approach with a more dynamic system where you have to chase kind of a heat gradient display that appears over the map. And that could be quite fun. But for now, you just stick them on your cell, like this thermoplast here. And it just gives a blanket addition of ATP that scales with the temperature of the patch, which is why I was trying to make my way to the vents. Yeah, it costs too much to have two of them. But here, it's warm enough to actually use them, which is very cool. Of course, I still need glucose in order for my metabolosomes to do stuff. Come to me. See, that's just eaten an iron chunk because it's got iron stuff inside it, so it can actually digest the iron. I could not do that, but I can eat the cell itself. And it's now being broken down inside me. And I can evolve again. Right, so I've added a thermoplast. That's one of the new organelles. Another one is the cilia. Cilium? Cilia. I guess there's 3 of them in the individual organelles, so I can call them the cilia. So if I stick that to the edge, you'll see that adds some hairs, and it's upped my rotation speed. So now I'll be much more nimble as I follow the cursor around. I will also add the final new organelle in this update, the lysosome. So I can place that, and you'll see it ups my digestion speed and efficiency immediately. But I can right-click, go Modify, and select a different type of enzyme. So yes, it was indeed cellulase and chitinase. So if I select one of those, I then gain the ability to digest other types of cells, which I could not previously. So I'll do that. So it's a bit wonky with the cilia just on the side like that, but it works. I'm now quite a bit quicker in my turning speed. Not quick enough though, I need more. You also see another part of the engulfment revamp. This cell is now leaving a trail of iron behind it. That must be because it engulfed an iron chunk and has now filled up its entire iron storage, so it doesn't have any space left to store the iron it's dissolving. So it just comes out the back, which is quite cool. I think that creates some extra variation in the clouds that are around. Oh, now I'm losing health. Uh-oh. I can't engulf them if I'm losing health. I need some glucose to keep things in check. I've shown off all the other organelles. I'm going to add another cilia. Ooh, now I have arms. See, now I'm bigger. I have more space to store stuff, so I could actually engulf 2 of them at the same time. So I may actually skip ahead for a bit, because the last remaining feature, big feature I want to show you, is quite further along in the game. So I will keep playing and come back to you momentarily. Actually, before I get there, one other feature to mention is a revamp to the spawn system. So this is the system that puts things in the world you're currently in. The clouds, the chunks, other microbes. And what you'll notice with the new system is that hopefully there are fewer regions with just nothing. That was quite a notorious problem with the old one. You'd often get large areas with nothing spawning in. You can still get reasonable size areas with things not spawning in with the new system, but not this. It's less. Yeah, they will generally be smaller this time. Ooh, you've got a nucleus. Haha, it's an enemy cell that's also got a nucleus. This is what happens when you turn the AI mutation rate all the way up to maximum. Unfortunately, I'm now losing health, so I can't engulf you. No. And that one's got a spike on. Oh, I've got lots of biodiversity over here. Hello, we're back. I am currently in the multicellular prototype, which of course was present in the previous version, if you weren't aware. So I've built this multicellular creature out of lots of different cells. Completely legitimately, I definitely didn't use any cheats. So we have the final new feature to show off is this button here. This button was in the previous version, but it didn't do anything except tell you there was nothing that it did. But now, if we press it, and this here is the macroscopic editor. So it's actually a 3D editor. It's not particularly fully featured, and that was a consequence of development time having to go to other features. But you'll see we've got some cells now represented by balls. Obviously, that's temporary. But we can now do stuff with them. So I can add more of my cell types in 3D, if I can figure out. It's a bit janky, because obviously there's not really much focus on the controls. But you can create some interesting artwork in here for the moment. I'm just going to add a tail, because why not? Okay, a nice tail. Yeah, it's a blob. It's a blob of cells. That's enough. Unfortunately, for the same development constraints I mentioned, there is no actual gameplay of this stage. But there was a lot of work that went into refactoring the stage and the editor in order to get just that bit to work. So hopefully moving on from here will be a lot less work going forward. And we can look out of the beautiful horizon of what is to come in the future. So yeah, that was Thrive 0.5.9. Obviously, I was only showing off the new features. There's plenty of other features you will be familiar with if you played this before. If you haven't played this before, it's available on Steam. Go get it on there if you want to support the developers. It's also available for free if you go and download the dedicated launcher. There is a Patreon if you want to support the developers more than simply purchasing on Steam. And the whole thing is open source, which is how I've been contributing to it recently. So if you want to join the team, I would definitely recommend doing so. If you're a programmer or an artist familiar with game development, it would be very helpful to have you on board in order to progress the vision further. This update has been quite a big one. There's lots of many new features that I've gone through. But who knows, maybe next one will be even bigger as the game improves and grows in scope. So thank you for watching. This was just a very quick, small thing to do. Enjoy Thrive. I will be back next time.